The greatest strategic failure in marketing is the polish trap, believing that looking professional is the best way to get noticed, while ignoring the neurological fact that the brain is hardwired to ignore the predictable. So what if I told you that all the time, all the money, all the effort you're pouring into making your marketing look perfect is the very thing making it invisible? Today, we're going to explore the pretty wild counterintuitive science of hijacking attention. We're going to break down exactly why our brains are built to filter out most ads, and then give you a precise, science-backed playbook for making your message not just seen, but completely impossible to ignore. So, picture this. That beautiful, high-res ad you just launched. You know the one. Perfect lighting, brilliant copy, a professional model. It checks all the boxes. So, why isn't it working? Why is the data showing that people are just scrolling right on by? Well, that feeling isn't just in your head. It's a symptom of a massive problem, something we call the digital coma. And here's the thing, it's not a problem with your marketing. It's a problem with the fundamental wiring of the human brain. Your ad isn't failing because it's bad. It's failing because it's predictable. This quote right here, it completely flips decades of marketing wisdom on its head. We've all been taught that quality is king, right? That looking the best is how you win. But in the super saturated, crazy fast world of our digital feeds, looking the best usually just means you end up looking like everybody else who's also trying to look their best. You just become part of this massive sea of sameness. And here's the kicker. The human brain is an absolute expert at one thing above all else, ignoring what it expects to see. And that is the central conflict we are going to unpack and solve right now. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start by really defining the great Polish trap. Then we'll dive into the neuroscience of your brain on autopilot. After that, we'll give you the antidote, the Schema Violation Loop, show you how to master it, and finally, we'll tie it all together with the logic of attention. Okay, let's get right to the heart of it, the great Polish trap. It's this strange paradox where the harder you try to be professional and perfect, the more likely you are to be completely ignored, to just become another piece of digital wallpaper. So here's the bottom line. When your stuff looks, reads, and feels like an ad, with the shiny photography, the perfect fonts, that standard marketing language, you are essentially sending up a flare to the brain that says, hey, you can ignore me. You've seen this a million times before. Your message is instantly categorized as background noise, something to be scrolled past without a single conscious thought. You haven't just made an ad, you've fallen right into the trap. But here's the thing, this isn't your fault. It's not a failure of your creative team or your strategy. It's actually a predictable biological function of the human brain. And if we want to break this cycle, if we really want to capture attention, we first have to understand this incredibly powerful autopilot system we're all running on every single day. See, this isn't a marketing problem, it's a biology problem. Think about it this way. Your brain is getting hit with something like 11 million bits of information every single second, but your conscious mind, it can only handle about 50. So to deal with that insane fire hose of data, it's evolved a brutally efficient filtering system. Its main job is to figure out what's worth paying attention to and what can be safely ignored. And its number one rule is simple. If it's familiar, if it's predictable, ignore it. This saves precious brain power for things that are new, strange, or maybe even dangerous. Your brain is a cognitive miser. It's always looking for a shortcut, and ignoring the familiar is its absolute favorite one. And there's a scientific name for this filtering process. It's called neural adaptation. You know how when you walk into a quiet room and there's a ticking clock? For the first few minutes, it might be all you hear. It's kind of annoying. But then, after a little while, your brain just tunes it out. It's gone. Well, the exact same thing happens with ads in your social media feed. After you've seen hundreds of them with similar polished layouts and messages, your brain just adapts. It learns the pattern and it stops processing them. They become neurologically invisible, just like that ticking clock. The part of your brain in charge of all this is called the reticular activating system, or the RAS. I want you to think of the RAS as the super strict bouncer at the most exclusive nightclub in town, your conscious mind. It stands at the door deciding what gets in. Now, your standard polished ad, it shows up dressed just like everyone else in the long line. The RAS takes one look, recognizes the boring pattern, and says, nope, not on the list. It doesn't even get close to the velvet rope. But then, something new, something strange, something that breaks the pattern walks up. The RAS immediately flags it, opens the door, and shoves it to the front, saying, whoa, you need to see this now. Okay, so if the brain's autopilot and this tough bouncer, the RAS, are the problem, how in the world do we get past them? Well, here's the secret. We don't fight them. We work with them. The answer is a systematic process designed specifically to get the RAS's attention. It's called the Schema Violation Loop, and it's the tactical antidote to that digital coma. This loop is a really simple 3-step process. First, you map the feed norm. This means you have to become a detective. You literally go audit the environment where your ad will live. You identify its visual DNA. What colors do you see all the time? What kinds of headlines? What's the vibe? That's the pattern. Second, you deploy a strategic anomaly. You intentionally and very strategically violate that DNA. If everything is high gloss and perfect, you go lo-fi with a shaky smartphone video. If everyone's using bright colors, you use a stark black and white image. And third, and this part is absolutely critical, you anchor with relevance. That weird image only buys you a split second. In that tiny moment, you have to immediately hook their conscious brain with a message that's actually valuable or sparks their curiosity. The anomaly gets the door open. The relevance makes them want to stay. Now, the goal of that anomaly isn't just to be clever. It's to trigger a deep physiological reaction called the orienting response. This is that involuntary reflex you have to any sudden change in your environment. It's why you instinctively whip your head around toward a loud noise before you even know what it is. By violating the expected pattern of the feed, you're creating that sudden noise, but for the eyes. You force the user's brain to slam on the brakes, to stop that mindless scrolling, and ask that all-important question, wait, what is that? And just like that, you've broken the autopilot. So we've covered the what and the why. Now let's get down to the how. Let's turn this powerful insight into direct action. Because, look, understanding the theory is one thing, but mastering the application of the pattern interrupt, well, that's what separates the ads that get seen from the ones that are totally invisible. This really breaks it down. Look at the visuals. A standard ad is all high gloss and professional. A pattern interrupt ad, it's lo-fi, raw, maybe a little weird. Think user-generated content. Now look at the language. Standard ads use predictable, positive marketing speak. The interrupt uses something counterintuitive, something jarring that makes you pause. And the result? That's what really matters. The standard ad gets filtered by the RAS. It's ignored. The pattern interrupt gets flagged by the RAS. It gets noticed. Simple as that. Okay, so here's your action plan, things you can do right now. First, execute a Feed-Norm Audit. And don't just guess, actually spend an hour scrolling the platform, documenting the patterns. What does everything look and sound like? Make a checklist. Second, identify the ugly winning variable. Test creative that intentionally breaks that high gloss perfection. And ugly doesn't mean bad, it just means authentic, human, and unexpected. Test raw photos or a video that looks like it was shot in a garage. Finally, weaponize the first 3 words of your headline. Those first few words aren't an afterthought. They're your primary weapon to stop the scroll. So what's the goal here? What's the metric we're chasing? It's the one that matters more than anything else at this stage, the thumb stop rate. That's the percentage of people who physically stop scrolling to look at your ad. A good pattern interrupt strategy can lead to absolutely huge triple-digit increases in this one metric. This isn't just a small improvement, it's a complete game changer. Because if you can't stop the thumb, nothing else, not your copy, not your offer, not your website, matters at all. You're no longer just competing for attention, you're commanding. So as we wrap this up, let's just reframe this whole idea. Pattern interrupt psychology isn't some clever tactic or a fleeting trend. You should think of it as a fundamental law of how attention actually works in our super-saturated digital world. It's the practical application of neurobiology to modern reality. So if there is one thing you take away from all of this, let it be this. Attention is not given, it is hijacked. In a world where every single brand is politely asking for a moment of your time, you have to realize that just doesn't work anymore. Attention has to be seized from that endless, hypnotic stream of sameness. By understanding that the brain is a pattern-matching machine built to ignore the expected, you can finally transform your message from disposable background noise into an unmissable, unforgettable signal. Ultimately, this whole system isn't about tricking people. It's about understanding them on a biological level. It's about respecting their brain's deep-seated need for something new and using that to show them something valuable. It works not because it's the loudest or the flashiest or the prettiest. It works because in a sea of sameness, a strategic anomaly is the only thing they can't help but see.